I have been waiting for an excuse to talk about Tyla. I love my fellow Africans killing it in the music industry. Nobody asked, but I am Ivorian American. My parents are from Cote d'Ivoire, but I grew up in the US. No, I don't speak French, and no, I didn't grow up with a cool accent, but I did grow up with a lot of trauma and a lot of pride in my background. So whenever I see artists like Tyla, I can't help but want to root for them. However, Tyla has found herself in some hot water again. She is being branded as a mean girl, which doesn't help with the prior uppity African allegations. Tyla recently performed at her first Coachella concert. The South African Grammy winner wore a green vintage balconette bra from Dolce & Gabbana's Spring 2001 collection, alongside denim cutoffs embellished with beaded fringe and silver safety pins. Fans couldn't help but notice the resemblance of Britney Spears' I'm a Slave for You performance, where Spears wore a pink jeweled adorned cutout green bra and low-rise jean shorts with a butterfly motif and various scarves along the waist, created by costume designers Kurt and Bart. Tyla seems to be immersed in the fashion world. I mean, she's been serving looks left and right. However, she was born in 2002 and the outfit was 2000. Don't get me wrong, I'm an '01 baby and I know that outfit like the back of my hand. But I grew up in the United States exposed to these references, whereas Tyla may or may not have, given the fact that she is South African. And you can make the argument that Britney Spears is a global pop star admired by many from all over the world. But if you asked my African mother about this outfit, she will tell you that she's never seen that outfit before. This is me giving Tyla the benefit of the doubt. Regardless if this is an age thing or an African thing, I don't think Tyla has any reason to lie about not knowing the reference. I feel like it's so much easier to admit the inspiration of where your outfit is from, rather than to claim it as your own. After all, it wouldn't have looked bad at all on Tyla's part if she said she was referencing Britney, and would have been a great opportunity to pay homage to her. Tyla wasn't feeling this particular tweet, so she clapped back and said, personally, shut up. People are saying she's a mean girl because she told a fan to shut up. Very briefly, I'd like to note that this isn't a fan. This is a random user on Twitter that obviously has a disdain for Tyla. Just because someone is talking about someone doesn't make them a fan. Fan behavior, yes, but not a true fan. I can't lie, I wish she didn't let that comment get to her because Twitter will take anything you say to push their narrative of what they think of you. But as humans, sometimes you just snap. So I don't fault her or any celebrity for clapping back against trolls on the internet. However, this being a controversy is so silly to me. There have been far worse things said by male artists and public figures in general. If she wasn't a woman and if she wasn't South African, she wouldn't receive this amount of backlash. Some people have never seen a pretty girl from Johannesburg, and that's what they prefer. People want you to be quiet, self-deprecating, and reserved. If you don't adhere to this, you're deemed ungrateful, loud, arrogant, and you should go back to your country. Tyla has also received backlash from Black Americans for describing herself ethnically as a colored South African woman. If you live in the United States, this word is outdated and has historically been used against African Americans. However, this does not carry the same connotation in countries like South Africa. For South Africans, colored is a term that identifies a community who have cultivated a culture, language, and overall identity that wasn't related to their segregation, but rather to identifying the newly established community. South Africans have always been very clear that the composition of the colored community is so diverse and draws from Africa, Europe, and Asia. Quite literally, they are of mixed races. People don't seem to only be hung up on the fact that she calls herself colored, but also because she primarily calls herself South African and questions why she doesn't blatantly call herself Black. For those that don't understand why Tyla does this, let me explain. From what I've witnessed, growing up around other Africans in the US, we primarily used nationality to identify our heritage. In spaces where it was predominantly African, you would rarely hear someone say they were Black. And this isn't because we're ashamed of our Blackness, but rather because in our home countries we don't use Black to describe our identities, whereas you would in the United States. Africa is so diverse that it's not enough to say, oh, I'm Black. There are 54 different countries with over 3,000 different tribes. Outside of the United States, Black is too ambiguous of a term to describe a person's culture. She was also asked about her identity on The Breakfast Club, where she declined to answer the question. As much as I wish Tyla explained right then and there why she identified the way she did, she is not entitled to do so. If Tyla didn't feel like disclosing her identity that day, I can't fault her or force her to do that. However, The Breakfast Club wasn't very forgiving on her lack of response. If anything, it amplified the narrative against her even more. She seemed to have originally dodged the question because of her team. They didn't want her to discuss this in fear of how people would react, but that ironically backfired on them. That could have been a moment where she put the rumors to rest, stood on her identity, and explained the nuances of her background to many viewers that are watching. She eventually released a statement explaining her identity, which, better late than never, but it didn't reach audiences the same way that The Breakfast Club interview did. Other controversies where Tyla was regarded as ungrateful have been whenever she's at award shows, she doesn't like to hold her awards. This VMA interaction is so funny to me. I don't think Lil Nas and Halle were wrong to not want to hold the award. I don't doubt those awards are heavy. But Tyla could have set her award down on the floor. However, I assume in the moment of all the excitement and adrenaline, she probably didn't think otherwise. Either way, this doesn't mean she's a bad person. Even Halle herself wasn't offended and even showed Tyla some love the day after that incident. Aside from not wanting to hold awards, I remember Tyla didn't want to dance with Usher, and some people took issue with it, saying she thinks she's too good for him. But if you don't want to dance with someone, you're allowed to set that boundary that you don't want to dance with them. Just because someone is famous doesn't mean that anyone is entitled to allow them to be in their personal space. And hey, maybe you do want them in your personal space. That's your prerogative, but that doesn't mean everyone abides by that same mindset as you. There's other controversies with Tyla, such as being a plant, but if you saw my past Doechii video, you already know how I feel about the topic of industry plants. Honestly, I could substitute Doechii's name in that video with Tyla, and everything would still apply to her. Personally, I have never met her. At the end of the day, I nor any of us have any idea of what kind of person Tyla is. For all we know, she steals candy from babies, but we can't prove that now, can we? You don't have to like her for any reason, but you also don't have to tweet about her either if you dislike her so much. It is expected for immigrants to fall in line in the US, but because Tyla doesn't fit their mold and doesn't fit that image of starving African, they can't comprehend why she is so successful. Therefore, they default her to uppity and entitled. You could be a pretty girl from South Africa, act the way Tyla does, and still be grateful. Here at The Misfit in Threads, we honor misfits for going against the grain and setting trends despite what the norm is. This week, the misfit I would like to honor is my favorite self-proclaimed uppity African, Tyla. I love this Coachella outfit. The early 2000s Britney aesthetic is very on par and is on brand for her style. I love the attitude and confidence that she radiates when she performs, so this outfit is very fitting for her. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. If you loved it, like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you liked. If you hated it, thanks for sticking it out, and see you next time, Misfits.